grab this clip real quick. We're not even far out of the car, not far from where we parked. We've got a large hominid that came up here apparently. It should be George, 13-inch feet. You can see on this one has a 4 foot 5-inch step gap on this one, and these are barefoot prints. You can see actually the curve to the foot. You can see the depth, the rise here. You can see the rise and the push from the toes and the two balls here. You can see the whole form. And these cruise right on through here. I've stepped on a couple while measuring them and such. I'll take you through, and here's one here that's undisturbed. Another one here that's undisturbed, and you can see the form to it. Again here, another one here, and you can see the form, toes, back of the first metatarsal, fifth metatarsal, flat bottom. You can see the toe imprints from the kick here. So these prints are not far from where we parked the car. Actually, they're just right near the car, and there's about 40 of them in here. Average step gap is 4 feet, and that increases up to about 4.5 feet. You can see they're here. See, and this is one here, big print, and then the next one's over there. Let's say that's a 4 foot average step gap, so it's a lot bigger than an average man. Okay, we'll wrap this. I'm going to go on in. What I'm doing is checking an anomaly in here that we got on some drone footage, and we'll go in and see what that is actually. So. To be quiet in here, but if I can do it, they can do it. Right across from here is a spot that they hang out a lot. That video anomaly was just on the other side of us over here. And I took pictures of the big female just on the other side of here. And I've run into the group in here quite a bit. So we'll see what happens. Got a giant scat pile in the middle of the river. I can already see it. I've already found the prints too. Let's go look at this scat pile here. See, we got about 40 birds right over there. Real fertile area here. Let's check this out though. See, that's a huge pile. It's a huge pile, and it's really fresh in the water. The diameter is going to be 1.5 inches probably total. You can see part of the round here. So this is really fresh. Okay, so there. It's likely that what we got on video was one of the subjects, because I've got fresh prints up there, pretty fresh, last couple days. They've been rained on. And then this pile of scat is, of course, not that old. You can see it's gone downstream a little bit here, but it's managed to maintain its shape. So it's probably less than 24 hours old. And I noticed somebody's been on a quad down here. That's usually the game warden trying to run these critters out. Here's another smaller scat pile, fresh again. Looks like it's entirely composed of Russian olive fruit. What's interesting is whatever these are don't digest it very well. So here's another older scat pile. You can just see the seeds. I think they'd leave a lot of marks, but they're either walking in the river or they're through here at night when this is frozen hard as a rock. As temperatures, you can see how I'm dressed, temperatures are still real chilly. And we've got hominid prints, but these could be boot prints. That surely is a boot print. I flew over these and looked at them yesterday. I didn't see anything that looked like a Bigfoot hominid, but that anomaly was just on the other side over here behind these trees, and we'll take a look and see what that was. Of course, we're already finding signs, so I know they've been down in here. Tree. It's basically one of these little trees that are out here. I flew over and there was something ducked down behind one. And if it's not a mass of wood, then it was probably a subject. Okay, we'll turn it back on if anything happens. Okay, I've made it over to where we had an anomaly sighting on the ground yesterday from the drone. I'll kind of show you how this worked. There was one of two positions he could have been out here. I'll have to just compare some photos to make sure which one. Doesn't really matter, both of them have sign. We flew in from this direction at an angle this way, came by that big tree over there, and kind of an angle this way, hesitated and turned around, and when I did, went over and by this tree and one that's right over there. And interesting to find when we get over here, there is some obvious damage. You can kind of make it out where something big has been moving around, but there's no fresh hoof marks. There's some real old ones, and you'll also notice I've walked through here and you can't see my feet print. One little edge, but if I was barefoot you'd never know I walked through this. And I want to point out that there's some very fresh, a bunch of it actually if we look here. some very fresh, high damage. And these might have hairs in some of these if I was to look. And as we see here, this limb is broken down, through. So it's totally, I mean, through these. So if we were to put it back here, it would be up here like this, like that, and it was broken all the way down through those, hanging down there. So a lot of straight down force here. This is also an old break where the limb has been put back in the tree. So animals aren't, you know, cows and I mean things like bear, cat aren't doing that. We have a lot of fresh breakage here. So you can see all the fresh break. And something was here. And we can tell that evident by the way things are padded and flattened and pushed to the sides and out. And this stuff's been freshly broken where this is pushed over to get in here. So if this is one of the if this is the location, then I've got a little verification. Okay, but I actually think that we caught the subject by this other little tree here, by that one. Okay, so as we flew in, we came over this way, made our turn, and he should have been crouched, or he or she should have been crouched right behind that tree. And when we go through here, I see big flat padded spots, but when they're in here and the ground's partially frozen, it's pretty thawed now. They're not going to leave any marks. And when it's even this position and I walk through it, I don't leave much sign. Say if I was barefoot, I wouldn't leave any sign. But I can see real large, flat, padded out spots on the ground that look like feet print. A lot of them, and they're really big. Okay, but more important to note is we have those cut grasses all over the place here. All of them have the same cut edge. The edge that's cutting them is a little dull. Certainly not razor sharp, but it's pretty sharp enough to cut. When we get over here and you start actually looking, like if we get real close here, I'm going to tape on it. This is the back of a foot. That's the back of a really big foot. This is the back heel imprint here. Talking 6 inches across the heel. This foot has another heel mark right there and a big flat padded area, and these are massive. These are like the 20-inch prints from the female. And the subject, you can see all this cut grass. It's really fresh, laying on top of the fresh mud here, probably from yesterday. And what we get here is this is where the subject would have been. And I got big flat padded beat down areas here, tons of that cut grass. And we go around the corner and look, we've got all this fresh damage where something squeezed itself right and laid down in here or sat in here. And this is where we flew over. This is where the subject was. And as you can see, I took a height measurement here, but above this foliage here, the head was a good, you know, so high, all crunched over. So we're talking 6 feet here, real easy off the ground. Was the top of the anomaly. Seeing if I even, there you can see there's 5 there. And we're talking the anomaly would have been up here, so 5 or 6 feet tall, all hunched over a black mass, right here behind this tree. And I'm going to try to get the same objective perspective as the drone as it came through here. Okay, so the drone actually came right over here and turned, and the subject was poised right behind that. And as you can see, there's no dark mass there. And when you have validation like the breakage and things that we attribute to the species, when you have cut grasses that we attribute to the species, I found 2 sets of prints today, large padded. One set was definable at 13 inches early on, not too far from the guy in the car. We followed this for a while. I followed this for a while. And then right here, of course, we've got, looks like padding from about a 13-inch foot and about a 20-inch foot, possibly even larger than that. And I was kind of scoping around to see if anything took any direct prints here. And I mean, this is my footprint right there. And if I was barefoot, all I'd be doing is flattening the ground. And I see that throughout here. A lot of that flattening. But I haven't been able to find a defined edge print. Like I say, it's really easy to walk. If I try or put any effort at all, I can walk across just about any of it and leave not even a discernible mark right across the mud. So you can see how hard this is to try to pick up barefoot hominid prints in. But like I said, we have been able to scout and see a few. And I'm pretty content with that because, I mean, there's the rise that's in the background of the video. These are the little trees out front. Certainly a subject was crouched here, and certainly a subject at one time was crouched over there. We'll check the video. It might have been at the same time. But that's enough verification for me personally. I also like to add that when we photographed the big female holding a younger, we were up on that ridge up there. And that picture was actually taken of her maybe just 50 or 75 yards through the trees here is where she was that day when we took her picture. So it's certainly not a surprise that they would be right here. And that was a few years ago, so the same time of year though, and actually really similar conditions to yesterday and today, with some drizzling sleet and moisture. Ground hard frozen last night, thawed this morning. So really similar conditions. Like I said, almost the same time of year. I'm walking through here because you just never know. But yeah, she was actually right in this gap. Right in here, so. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this recording, see if I find any more. I've got the Mavic with me, so if I have an encounter I can back off and put that in the air and try to catch something. Okay. See ya. Okay, I just shut the camera off from the last clip. Background probably looks familiar. What I wanted to point out, I just walked upon it, of course, right after I shut the camera off, is another scat pile. Same composition as we were seeing earlier today. Smaller diameter, smaller subject. But again, loaded with Russian olive and cedar berries. And let's see what else we got in there. But you can see the diameters, half that of the other. So the other one have had a really large diameter, 1.5 inches. It's really good. This is more what you'd expect to see canine size, but that's not canine fecal material at all. Shape's wrong, the way it comes out's wrong, and everything. The way it dropped is wrong. You can tell a lot by the pile form. And so this is probably just one of the smaller subjects. But what it does show is they're here. I've found basically scat on both sides of the anomaly register. So that's a really good sign for verifying what we flew over yesterday. Got to improve the capability of seeing what I'm looking at, only because I was doing a flight from my phone, and I've got some VR goggles, but they're not as good as what FPV setup would be, and they still haven't really got that done yet for the Mavic, so I'll be waiting until we can get a better setup to get a more defined look while I'm flying. Or I could have caught that anomaly and spun around and taken a look at it, but I passed over it pretty quick. It was only in the frame for 6 seconds. If we'd had a TV or a monitor or a large large display and a second set of eyes, someone probably would have caught that was flying. Let me flip this around. I'll just record. There's often these little back tributaries they often use for defecating. And we'll zip through and see what we can find. Oh boy, this is cool. See, and you can see there's some coyote prints here, but there's also small deer prints running back in here. Doesn't really look like a spot you want to get caught, but this is the kind of spots they hunt because animals will use these, and they don't use them much. They'll step on the sides, just grab stuff. You can see in here's a place similar to a hideout or domicile cell. And here's where something really big went up this bank at one time. That's like a 3.5 foot step. See, here we go. Look at this. Okay, here's some really fresh damage. It's broken down and a height off the ground. You're going to be looking at, see here, that's 5 foot 4 inches. So that's fresh damage right here through here where we're cruising. Scat, the whole 9 yards. 5 foot 4 inches off the ground. And it doesn't have a leading branch. And if it did, it'd be out here. And we're not seeing it. So if something did break the leading branch off that, then they carried it away with them. And I mean, some things could be cattle, but not that high. They just don't do it. And then we'd also have some fresh sign. And I'm not seeing that. So there's a lot of breakage in here. What I'm looking for is breakage up top, though. See, we want to see high break. Just so we know, I mean, low break could also be from the subject species, but let's see how this works out here. See, we've got a lot of these little access ways. And you can look, no cow's been using this. This is the way through, and we don't see any cow prints going out. Generally, we'll have high damage, 8 to 10 feet off the ground, just outside here. I'm not seeing any. Okay. So I think I'll go right back in here. Alright, I'll go ahead and cut this recording until I find some more good demonstrative trace evidence. Okay. Well, there's a good one as we speak. So we just walked through here. I walked right over that. There's a scat pile of the type of scat we're looking for. And there's damage, upward break damage. And so upward means the branch was coming up. So whatever was in here had to break this out of the tree at 4 foot 3 inches. And then we have, of course, scat to go with it. So we're seeing damage at 4 foot 3 to 5.5 foot. Scat with Russian olive, fresh, all in the immediate area that we got a capture of a real strong sign with, or an anomaly with the drone. Now I think this film's going to quit because the battery probably, but I want to also show, here we go. This is 4.5 feet off the ground. This branch has been broken up, obviously, upward at 4.5 inches. And then here we have another one. And you see this has been in this tree here, broken straight down, really fresh, and we're talking, you know, that's 30 inches or so. Okay, so it looks like this recorder is going to quit, so I'm going to go ahead and kill it. Definitely have a lot of evidence of the subject moving through here, a lot. So, I mean, I'm going to call that good.